The application of original thinking is at the heart of everything we do in AMBS. Original. We were one of the UK first two business schools established in 1965, so we got a very long history, very rich history in the UK education. Thinking. Our research has significant reach and we contribute to the society by having a lot of the new, creating new knowledge and research. Applied, we turn theory into practice across all our activities, not only through research, but also through different programs as well as the work consultancy. And so as you can see that these are the organizational culture of AMBS. When we understand the organizational culture, and we have to identify what layers that our organizational culture has reached and to what extent that people in organization will understand and share the culture of the organization. There are 4 layers of organizational culture. The center one is the basic assumption. These basic assumptions are unconscious, take for granted assumption about how organizational problems should be solved, human nature, and the nature of human activities and human relationships. In short, it's talking about why people will come together, bound together, and work together as the organization team. They work together and so to achieve the organizational goals. And so this is the basic assumption for the existence of the organization. And then, well, another layer is values. Values is something that will telling the employees what is important in the organization and what things that they have to pay attention to. So the values is about what ought to be in the organization. Employees, they know what is important for this and they have to do it. They have the obligation to do this in order to help to achieve organizational goal. And then, well, here comes to the norms. The norms is just below the surface of the cultural awareness. And so the norms is something that's guiding how the members of the employees, the members, should behave in certain ways. It is not something like explicit rules and regulations. It's a kind of the norms that will regulate, will tell the employees that what behavior is acceptable in the organization. Last but not the least is the artifacts. And so here is something like the observable behavior of the employees, as well as the structure, the reward system, the appraisal system, recruitment system, the procedures and rules and regulations, something to regulate the employees' behavior and, well, their work. First step, propose the model of national culture, including something like the power distance values, individualistics, and long-term, short-term orientation, etc. And this model of the national culture can be also applied to the organizational culture. Because well, think about it. If the peoples living in different nations will regulate their behavior and also their thought, the same situation in organizational setting. When the employees they work in certain climate, under certain climates of the organization, will also affecting their behavior and thinking. Of course, when we talk about organizational climate, and we can see some tangible things, some visible things that can be easily identified and observed. Something like the symbols, is there any significant signatures, people, and also some virtuals, etc. Will also telling not only the internal member, but also the customers, what is their organizational culture. However, something that is not easily identified unless you are the members of the organization, such as norms, values, belief of an organization, etc. Those things that are not easily visible and observable by the outsiders. So, as you can see, the culture is not only created and maintained by some symbols, some virtues, etc., rituals, etc. Instead, to also developed and maintained by some core things, some intangible things such as values, belief, norms, etc. There are different types of a culture, so to regulate the climate of the organization. For example, like power culture, it refers to the organization that the very centralized power will only hold and clustered at the top management team. There is a very high control climate in such kind of the organization. Role culture, very bureaucratic, hierarchical, and rule-driven, got a lot of the procedures, and everything will like to be predictable. So people stick rigidly to the job description. In this kind of the organizations, employees, they do not have much authority. Instead, well, what they have to do is they have to follow all the instructions and rules provided by the organization. Task culture focus on getting the job done rather than talking about the way that you do the process, and also very organic, flexible, creative, and contribute over some formal authority. It's talking about whether you can get the job done. Person culture is focusing on the individual design and goals, and also we're trying to have a more flattening structure, minimal different structure. And so for in such kind of organization, and where we expected the employees would have more freedom, more authority and control over their work. Some scholars propose that there are three major types of organizational culture. The first one is the constructive culture in which the members are encouraged to interact and approach tasks in the way that they will help each others and to taking a more initiative and innovative way so that will to help the organizations to improve. In this kind of organizational culture, employees, certain mistakes are encouraged and accepted. It is because the employees, if they use their own creativities, will help the organizations to improve. The second type is the passive culture, in which the members believe that they must interact and approach the way that will should protecting themselves, and so will in order not to be threatened by their own security. The third one is the aggressive culture. People will fight with each others, and so in order to protect their own resources and power. So you can see that if employees working in different organizational culture, and so well, they will have different expectation and will behave very differently. Let's think about the organizational culture of HP and Apple. And I give you 10 minutes to work on this task, and then we can have a discussion in the next video.